Well, hiya, BookTube. Bill Ruttenberg here with the Ruttenberg Library. I wanted to come to you this Saturday evening with a book haul. This week's book haul. I've tried to save all of the books for a weekly book haul. That's kind of what I've been trying to do over the last several weeks, and I've got a handful of them here for you. This week I was able to go with my wife to Books Revisited and down in St. Joe and pick up a few titles. I got 6 different books from them. One of them I had put on hold. They've got a little site on Facebook where they put in incoming books. They'll put them up if they're specific titles that particular titles that people would want, and there was one of them in there that I had seen that I wanted, and so I went in and then I found 5 more books. But anyway, I also got a couple things in the mail that I wanted to share with you. So I guess I'll just start there. I'll start with the mail stuff. So when I got home today, we had some ball games. Well, we had a couple ball games, so I've been out in the sun all day. And baseball team split, went 1-1 today, and our last game was a big win. And then when I came home, I had a nice little surprise waiting in the mailbox for me. My World War II magazine, Death from Above, is our leading article in that. It also has how a U.S. Navy force battled, that goes with Death from Above, how a U.S. Navy force battled a 3-hour kamikaze onslaught. And then the pro-Nazi GI sentenced to die for treason, and relics of D-Day from the beaches of Normandy. And if you follow the channel, you know I like these magazines from HistoryNet, historynet.com there. There's several of them. I like American History Magazine, Civil War Times. There's another Civil War magazine that they put out, and then they've got World War II. The articles are smaller, and they're not like big long articles, so it doesn't take you an hour or so to read them. You can read them in 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and get the main idea. You get lots of different photos in your articles. So here's a couple of photos. It's got nice maps that go with it, and you'll find these throughout the entire magazine. I'd highly recommend any of these magazines from HistoryNet. I just thoroughly enjoy them. I know there's several other people out there on BookTube who enjoy them as well. But anyway, that was my item in the mail today. Or maybe not yesterday, 2 days ago, I think. I had gotten on Amazon, and I was looking for the Library of America, the Civil War series. They've got a 4-book set that the Library of America has put out, and it's got all kinds of primary sources from the Civil War that takes you through the whole war, through the letters and diaries and correspondence of people who lived through the war. And there's all kinds of selections in here, from famous people to not so famous people, and I thought that was really cool. And this comes from, and forgive me, this was a couple videos back. Somebody had highly recommended this to me, and before I started shooting the video, I forgot to look at who it was that recommended it, but I did follow up on that, like I told them in the comments section, and I went and looked it up, and I ordered the first 2 volumes of it, and volume 2 came in either yesterday or the day before. I think it was 2 days ago. But this is, like I said, the Civil War from the Library of America. It is a 2012 book, and it's just got all kinds of good stuff in there. Just to kind of give you an idea, this volume 2 is the year 1862, and so it's got Frederick Douglass, What Shall Be Done with the Slaves If Emancipated, John Boston to Elizabeth Boston, Salmon P. Chase's journal, Abraham Lincoln to Don Carlos Buell and Henry Halleck, Abraham Lincoln and the President's General War Order, George B. McClellan to Edward Stanton, Julia Ward Howe, the Battle Hymn of the Republic. So anyway, I'm not going to read all of them, but it's just got all kinds of different titles. And this, what did I pay? It was less than $10. It's kind of an expensive set if you buy them brand new. I got them used, and the first 2 volumes weren't too bad, but volumes 3 and 4 cost $20 or more used, and so I'm probably going to wait a little bit until I can find them with the price a little bit lower. At least that's what I was finding on Amazon. I want to get the volumes 3 and 4 so I have the complete set, but I don't want to buy them at that price. I'm a little bit of a cheapskate. If you follow the channel, you know that. I buy all my stuff, or almost all my stuff, used, and I try to find it at the cheapest rates. But anyway, that's going to be a nice addition to my collection. All right, and so now I have a stack of books here that I got from Books Revisited. I got 1 fiction and then 5 nonfiction. Oh, excuse me. So I'll start with the fiction first. It was something I saw this at like Walmart and Target and stuff, and I thought it looked interesting. And so it's some historical fiction. It says America's First Daughter by Stephanie Dray and Laura Kamui. Sorry for mispronouncing that, but it says, from Monticello to Jefferson's White House, she shaped the legacy of a nation. And of course, this is talking about Jefferson's daughter. And so this is a William Moreau, an imprint of HarperCollins Publishers, and it is from the year 2016. And so, like I said, I saw this on the shelves, and I thought it sounded interesting. So let me read this to you. It says, from her earliest days, Patsy Jefferson knows that though her father loves his family dearly, his devotion to his country runs deeper still. As Thomas Jefferson's oldest daughter, she becomes his helpmate, protector, and constant companion in the wake of her mother's death, traveling with him when he becomes America's minister to France. It is in Paris, at the glittering court and among the first tumultuous days of the French Revolution, that 15-year-old Patsy learns about her father's troubling liaison with Sally Hemings, a slave girl her own age. Meanwhile, Patsy has fallen in love with her father's protege, William Short, a staunch abolitionist and ambitious diplomat. Torn between love, principles, and the bonds of family, Patsy questions if she can choose a life as William's wife and still be a devoted daughter. Her choice will follow her in the years to come, to Virginia farmland, to Monticello, and even to the White House. And as scandal, tragedy, and poverty threaten her family, Patsy must decide how much she will sacrifice to protect her father's reputation, in the process defining not just Jefferson's political legacy, but that of the nation he founded. And so, that piece of historical fiction, coming from the point of view of Jefferson's daughter, Patsy, that sounds like it's going to be really interesting. And like I said, when I saw this in the bookstore, in Walmart and Target, I knew that I kind of wanted to read it. I didn't want to buy it at full price, but I found it for $1 at Books Revisited, so I was willing to spend $1. Next couple books, so the next 5 books are going to be nonfiction. And so the next one, another one I spent just $1 on, was Krakatoa, The Day the World Exploded, August 27th, 1883, by Simon Winchester. And of course, this is the story of Krakatoa. Pretty self-explanatory. Pretty excited about that. I love learning about volcanoes, earthquakes, just basically all of the powers of nature. I teach that with my 6th grade class. We always have I teach the Earth's physical geography through the use of natural disasters, showing the powers of Earth. And so Krakatoa is one that we talk about in class. So this will be really interesting, right up my alley. It says Harper Perennial is the publisher out of New York. And this is, let's see here, published in Great Britain in 2003 by Viking originally. And so this one is a 2005 publishing, this particular book. And so let me read the back cover to you. It says, Simon Winchester, the New York Times bestselling author of The Professor and the Madman, examines the legendary annihilation in 1883 of the volcano island of Krakatoa, which was followed by an immense tsunami that killed nearly 40,000 people. The effects of the immense waves were felt as far away as France. Barometers in Bogota and Washington, D.C. went haywire. Bodies were washed up in Zanzibar. The sound of the island's destruction was heard in Australia and India, and on islands thousands of miles away. Most significant of all, in view of today's new political climate, the eruption helped to trigger in Java a wave of murderous anti-Western militancy among the fundamentalist Muslims, one of the first outbreaks of Islamic-inspired killings anywhere. Krakatoa gives us an entirely new perspective on this fascinating and iconic event. And so, like I said, this is right up my alley. Matter of fact, my first year teaching was the Indian Ocean tsunami that had happened. That happened my first year teaching, and of course I taught high school at that time, and I had a current events class, and that was part of our current events for several weeks. Different news stories on that, and so this is kind of the same, right up the same. Same pathway, except for, of course, 2004 was a earthquake. This is a volcano, but anyway, the tsunami part kind of similar. So I thought that'd be really interesting. Again, goes right with my 6th grade class and what I teach. The next book in the pile, another book for $1, and I saw this on Vin's channel, and he did a book review on this. This is The Rape of Nanking by Iris Chang, The Forgotten Holocaust of World War II. And I thought this sounded really interesting from the way he described it. And I talk about this in class, but I've never read any detailed books on it. And so this will really help me in getting more of a full understanding of the whole Chinese viewpoint of this. So this is from Penguin Books, and it's a 1997 book. And this says, the forgotten story of one of history's most brutal massacres. In December 1937, the Japanese army swept into the ancient city of Nanking. Within weeks, more than 300,000 Chinese civilians and soldiers were systematically raped, tortured, and murdered, a death toll exceeding that of the atomic blasts of Hiroshima and Nagasaki combined. Using extensive interviews with survivors and newly discovered documents, Iris Chang has written the definitive history of this horrifying episode. The Rape of Nanking tells a story from 3 perspectives: that of the Japanese soldiers, that of the Chinese, and that of a group of Westerners who refused to abandon the city and created a safety zone which saved almost 300,000 Chinese. Among the heroes was the German John Rabe, a Nazi whose diaries Chang discovered and whom she calls the Oscar Schindler of China. More than just narrating the details of an orgy of violence, The Rape of Nanking analyzes the militaristic culture that fostered in the Japanese soldiers a total disregard for human life. It also tells of the concerted effort during the Cold War on the part of the West and even China to stifle open discussions of this atrocity. And so, this is going to open up my historical window here to an area where I don't know a lot, and so I'm excited to gain some knowledge in that area. The next book, let me get the sticker off of here. The next book was a $3 purchase, but I thought it was well worth it. It's a paperback, but it's 6 Frigates: The Epic History of the Founding of the U.S. Navy by Ian W. Toll. And I love that cover. Look at that cover. I like paintings of the old ships. I think those are pretty awesome. But anyway, there is this particular book that I found. And I have another one on World War II that Ian Toll put out that I need to get read. So I thought this would be a neat addition to that. It says on the back, before the ink was dry on the U.S. Constitution, the establishment of a permanent military became the most divisive issue facing the new government. The founders particularly Jefferson, Madison, and Adams debated fiercely. Would a standing army by the thin end of dictatorship? Would a standing army be the thin end of dictatorship? Would a navy protect from pirates or drain the treasury and provoke hostility? Britain alone had hundreds of powerful warships. From the decision to build 6 heavy frigates, through the cliffhanger campaign against Tripoli, to the war that shook the world in 1812, Ian W. Toll tells this grand tale with the political insight of founding brothers and the narrative flair of Patrick O'Brien. All right, so I'm looking forward to reading that. A little bit of early American history. That'll be good. Here's the book that I actually had Books Revisited hold for me. I had wanted to get it when it was new, and they had it come in as a used copy. It is Valley Forge, The Heart of Everything That Is, by Bob Drury and Tom Clavin. Now, I've read other book by Tom Clavin and thoroughly enjoyed it, so I thought this would probably be a good book to pick up. This is a Simon & Schuster out of New York, and it's from 2018. Like I said, this is going to be, I think this is going to be really good. I really enjoy reading about the American Revolution. I teach that to my 8th graders, of course, and Valley Forge is a very interesting part of the Revolution. I read last year a book on Valley Forge and thoroughly enjoyed it, so I'm hoping this will be the same. Inside cover says, December of 1777. It is 18 months after the signing of the Declaration of Independence, and some 12,000 members of America's beleaguered Continental Army stagger into a small Pennsylvania encampment 23 miles northwest of British-occupied Philadelphia. The starving and half-naked force is reeling from a string of demoralizing defeats at the hands of King George III's army, and are barely equipped to survive the coming winter. Their commander-in-chief, the focused and forceful George Washington, is at the lowest ebb of his military career. The Continental Congress is in exile, and the American Revolution appears to be lost. Yet a spark remains, determined to keep the rebel cause alive through the sheer force of will. Washington transforms the farmland plateau hard by the Schuylkill River into a virtual cabin city. Together with a dedicated coterie of advisors, both foreign and domestic, Marquis de Lafayette, Baron von Steuben, and the impossibly young Alexander Hamilton and John Lawrence, he sets out to breathe new life into his military force. Against all odds, as the frigid and miserable months pass, they manage to turn a bobtail army of citizen soldiers into a professional fighting force that will change the world forever. Valley Forge is the story of how that metamorphosis occurred. Bob Drury and Tom Clavin, the team behind such bestsellers as The Heart of Everything That Is, The Last Stand of Fox Company, and Halsey's Typhoon, show us how this miracle was accomplished, despite thousands of American soldiers succumbing to disease, starvation, and the elements. Here's Steuben throwing himself into the dedicated drilling sessions he imported from Prussian battlefields. Here's Hamilton proffering the shrewd advice that wards off his beloved commander-in-chief's scheming political rivals. Here's Lawrence, determined to integrate the Continental Army with freed black men and slaves. Here's Lafayette, thirsting for battlefield accolades while tenaciously lobbying his own king for crucial French aid. At the center of it all is George Washington, in the prime of his life, yet confronting crushing failure as he fends off political conspiracies, every bit as pernicious as his incessant military challenges. The Virginia planter turned general is viewed by many as unqualified to lead the Continental Army after humiliating loss of Philadelphia, and his detractors in and out of the Congress plot to replace him. The Valley Forge winter is his and the Revolution's last chance at redemption. And indeed, after 6 months in the camp, Washington fulfills his destiny leading the Continental Army to a stunning victory in the Battle of Monmouth Courthouse. The momentum is never again with the Redcoats. Valley Forge is the riveting, true story of a nascent United States toppling an empire, using new and rarely seen contemporaneous documents and drawing on a cast of iconic characters and remarkable moments that capture the innovation and energy that led to the birth of our nation. Drury and Clavin provide the definitive account of this seminal and previously undervalued moment in the battle for American independence. All right, so it sounds like it's going to be good. I will be interested to see what new documents have come to light. I don't know how many new ones can come to light. I think they've all been pretty well, sorted through. And to say that he came out of Valley Forge in the Battle of Monmouth and got a stunning victory, well, anyway, we'll see how they tell that story. So anyway, I think I'm going to probably enjoy it just because I like the Revolution. I like learning about it. And so BookTube, the last book I got for you to show you is a big old biography. And this one was on the shelf the last several times I've been in the store over the last several weeks, and I kept looking at it and kept looking at it, and I thought, okay, that's something telling me to buy it, so I went ahead and bought it. I have nothing on this guy in my collection, and this is The General, Charles de Gaulle and the France He Saved by Jonathan Fenby. Now, I don't know who Jonathan Fenby is. I'm not familiar with him. Charles de Gaulle, I don't have anything in my collection. I've never read anything on him other than like with our textbook stuff. So this is all going to be brand new for me, and I'm hoping this is a good biography. If anybody knows anything about it, if you've read it and you know anything about it, please let me know. Let me know if I did had a good buy here. It wasn't, it's a hardback, and I got it for like $3. So I thought, it's worth the try, and it's a chunky monkey here. It's 600 and a little over 700 pages when you count the index. So I'm hoping that was a good buy. So that was my collection of books this week. That was my book haul and a couple things in the mail. BookTube, I hope you enjoyed that, looking at those. And if you know anything about these books, you have any opinions, please let me know down in the comments. I thank you for watching. I thank you for all the new subscribers to the channel, and I just appreciate that. So, and I hope everybody's doing well and enjoying the sunshine that we've been getting. So until next time, BookTube, happy reading.